Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and Restless official. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. At Crimson Lights, Kyle made an order at the counter. When a Billy in the area inquired about how things were going at Jabot, Kyle said that Jack was constantly discussing Billy's new business. Kyle questioned whether Billy was anxious about starting a new media business in a cutthroat industry. Billy gave Kyle a bitter thank you for the vote of confidence. Since starting a new business required a lot of labor, Kyle insisted that the query was real and expressed his admiration for Billy's lack of overwhelm. Billy humbly clarified that he wasn't accustomed to supporting Kyle. Kyle vowed to put their hatred and infighting in the past. Kyle argued that the Abbotts should remain together because family was the most essential thing. Even if it was with Phyllis, Kyle wished Billy the best, understanding that he had received a rough treatment from Jill and Victor with Chancellor. Billy said that Phyllis was devoted and stood up for her convictions, and he was eager to demonstrate to the world what Abbott Communications was capable of. Nick brought pictures from London, and Nikki, Victoria, and Claire swooned over them at society. Victoria joked that Claire had asked Kyle to be their tour guide before they had even begun dating, and Claire recalled that Cole had suggested taking a family vacation across the pond. According to Claire, they would go crazy when they learned that Kyle had asked her to move in with him if they thought that was scandalous. Victoria and Nikki looked at each other. Claire disclosed that she had invited the ladies to breakfast because of the news. Although Claire stated that it was still up for debate, Victoria assumed that she had made up her mind not to move in. It was difficult to accommodate their hectic schedules, but Claire gushed that the more time she and Kyle spent together, the more they wanted to be together. Claire flushed as Nikki mentioned receiving a terrible batch of clams. Victoria objected, saying it was premature. Moving in together would change everything, therefore Victoria advised Claire and Kyle to make sure their relationship was stable before doing so. Because of Victor's outbursts against the couple's involvement, Victoria claimed that Claire moving in with Kyle would be like putting gasoline on a fire. Claire objected to delaying her life. Victoria sought encouragement from Nikki, but Nikki insisted that Claire and Kyle should act in their own best interests, regardless of Victor's feelings. As Nikki and Victoria joked about how to deal with Victor, Claire made an unsuccessful attempt to speak out. To catch their attention, Claire clanked a fork against her glass and said she would make the choice. At some point, Claire hoped Victor would realize Kyle was a nice man. Victoria joked that Victor already believed Kyle to be a decent man, but he was ignoring it due to his infatuation with Jack and his refusal to accept Claire and Kyle's relationship. Nikki retorted that it was time to confront Victor because Claire's capitulation would simply give him more confidence and inspire further assaults. Claire felt that since Kyle made her happy, Victor would eventually approve of their relationship. Victoria asked Claire to hold off for a moment. By avoiding situations where they might encounter Victor and keeping Kyle out of family get-togethers, Nikki imagined what would happen if Claire didn't move in with Kyle. Nikki expected Claire to put her life on hold for Victor, even at the risk of losing Kyle completely. Victor had meddled in her own romantic life for years, and Victoria was upset that he was getting away with doing the same to Claire. Victoria lectured that dating someone for the first time should be pleasant and exciting, and Victor putting pressure on Claire to do what he wanted was inappropriate. Claire hoped Victor saw she didn't require Kyle's protection. It was suggested by Nikki that Claire demonstrate to Victor that he could not defeat him in every conflict. Claire didn't want to split up with Kyle, especially since she was falling for him, but she also didn't want to upset her grandfather. Claire acknowledged that since she had never experienced love before, she wasn't sure how she felt. Nikki expressed her excitement for her granddaughter after noticing the brightness and vitality in Claire's eyes. Claire revealed that although she and Kyle had not yet exchanged the words, she was aware that Kyle shared her feelings. Victoria said that although she wanted Claire to be happy and loved, she also didn't want her to suffer harm. Claire declared that she realized what needed to be done at that moment. When Kyle heard, he asked her what she needed to do. "Not just me. We," exclaimed Claire. Daniel gazed glumly into space at the athletic club. With much enthusiasm, Phyllis rushed in and declared that she was prepared to rock and roll. Daniel asked how many cups of coffee she'd had. It was about them being free to start over and reach new heights, Phyllis declared. Phyllis said that she was thrilled to begin working with her son by her side. He didn't say anything when she inquired how excited he was. Daniel told Phyllis that he was very pleased that she had discovered the opportunity she required and that it was good to see her passionate about something other than retaliation. It was what they needed, she said. Phyllis acknowledged that it was challenging to find a way out of grief, but she thought Daniel's job would help him get over it. When Billy showed there, he said they were at ground zero for something spectacular. There will undoubtedly be something, Daniel whispered. Billy questioned if Daniel was still on board. Billy hoped Daniel was no longer as nervous as he had been. Billy was instructed by Phyllis to wait until her son decided where he wanted to focus his efforts before hurrying Daniel. Daniel lamented that he felt emotionally and creatively stuck and unsure of his course. Phyllis offered to assist him, but Daniel advised Billy to simply place him wherever he may be most useful. Billy emphasized that it was a chance for them all to accomplish something spectacular, and he questioned Daniel's reluctance. Daniel mentioned the mess at Omega Sphere and his unsuccessful painting career. Phyllis said that the three of them were the ideal team and asserted that Daniel wasn't at blame. Billy wanted to have faith, but he was worried by Daniel's quick turnaround. Billy argued that Daniel's enthusiasm and inventiveness were the reasons he wanted him on board. Daniel was hesitant to disappoint anyone, but he wasn't sure he could continue. Phyllis followed Daniel as he left, walking past Sally en route. In the park, Phyllis caught up to Daniel. He apologized, saying he didn't know what he wanted in life or business, but he understood how much she wanted them to collaborate. Although Phyllis accepted that nothing could ever fully replace what he had lost, she believed that the job would provide him with a task to help him cope with the loss. Daniel clarified that in order to avoid confronting his feelings, he had been preoccupied with caring for Lucy and worried about Phyllis, but time had not made things better. Daniel moaned that all of their ideas had vanished along with Heather. Phyllis restated that Daniel would have a purpose and be able to cope with his sorrow if he had a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Daniel acknowledged that Abbott Communications wasn't what would enable him to dig out, even though the company had the potential to be incredible. He went on to say that Phyllis's goal was to run the company, and he could see by her enthusiasm and energy that morning that she needed to be there. When Phyllis complained that she didn't want to be involved if Daniel wasn't, Daniel couldn't think of anything better to do for her than to propel Abbott Communications to new heights. While he decided what his next chapter would be, he begged her to jump right in. Meanwhile, Billy advised Sally that Daniel appeared to have cold feet. Sally understood Daniel's struggles following the death of his true love. Billy was concerned that since Phyllis was only on board as part of a package deal with Daniel, she might also depart if Daniel backed out. If Phyllis did, Sally thought Billy would just go on to Plan B, but Billy acknowledged he had none. Sally questioned incredulously why, with Phyllis as his partner, he wouldn't have a backup plan.